Islam Makhachev next fight announced. Islam Makhachev and current two-time interim UFC lightweight champion Justin Gaethje's manager, Ali Abdelaziz, has stated that Gaethje is set to fight for the undisputed 155-pound title next. He also mentioned that Makhachev intends to defend his 170-pound championship against what he described as a real welterweight. As a result, if Ilia Topuria decides not to move forward with a title unification bout against Gaethje, the highlight will still compete for the belt, but against a different top contender. Abdelaziz further explained that if Makhachev is interested in facing Topuria, the decision on when and where the fight takes place will ultimately rest with the pound-for-pound king. Ali said, just to be clear, Justin Gaethje is fighting next for the undisputed lightweight title, and if Topuria doesn't want, then Justin will fight for the undisputed title against whoever is next. And if Islam wants to give Topuria this ass-whooping, then he will be the one who will choose where and when, but Islam's next fight will definitely be against a real welterweight. Who would Islam fight next? After Islam Makhachev captured the 170-pound title on a welterweight heavy card at UFC 322, fans immediately started wondering what would come next for the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Speaking on his YouTube channel, Michael Bisping explained why a matchup between Ian Machado Garry and Makhachev could be the logical next step.
It just might be, because hear me out. Ian Garry is the #1 ranked guy on the planet, and he's beaten some tremendous fighters along the way. And of course, he took Shavkat Rakhmonov in a #1 contender matchup, took him 5 rounds, almost got the submission in the 5th round, and then since then, he's come back and the man is still fighting. Last time out, he took out Belal Muhammad, who is the former champion. Before that, he took out Carlos Praches, one of the biggest and hottest names right now in the welterweight division. So I say it again, right now, is Ian Garry going to fight Islam? Because when you look on social media, Ian Garry has started camp. He said that he started camp. We don't know who the opponent's going to be, right? Because it's going to be someone good. It's going to be someone highly ranked. He is one of the top welterweights on the roster. It's as simple.
Since Islam Makhachev and his team traditionally don't compete during Ramadan, which wraps up toward the end of March, a return in April or May would make sense. June could also be an option, especially if the rumored White House event ends up being the destination. If that timeline lines up, a potential matchup between Makhachev and Ian Machado Garry could fall into that window. Conor McGregor guaranteed to be on UFC White House. Din Thomas believes Conor McGregor is likely to secure a new deal with the UFC. McGregor's comeback has faced more delays than expected. He hasn't fought since July 2021 and was finally scheduled to face Michael Chandler at UFC 303 in June 2024, but had to pull out because of a broken pinky toe. When the White House event was announced for June, McGregor began preparing seriously for his return. However, he has stated that his previous contract is void and plans to renegotiate with the UFC now that the pay-per-view model under the Paramount deal no longer exists. This raises questions about whether his comeback might face further delays.
For them to make a deal with Conor, I think they make it happen. I think that it's, fighting at the White House is going to be a once-in-a-lifetime thing, most likely. I can't imagine them doing this again or becoming a regular thing. And I think if Conor, again, like the same reason with John Jones, like if you have the opportunity to fight at the White House,
sure,
you do it. You take advantage of that. And I think that if the opportunity does arise, I'm leaning toward they make it happen with Conor one way or another. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how that is. And I'm sure Conor...
McGregor is already training hard for a fight at the White House, and he's got plenty of options. Colby Covington wants in too, and now his old rival Nate Diaz has thrown his name into the mix as well. This is what Diaz had to say in a recent social media post. "Let's not act like I didn't start a whole division bringing value to all these guys claiming they're it. I gave opportunity and put notice on the dopest fights. I got unfinished business, and I plan on going and taking what's mine ASAP first to ever start a division, and the dopest one at that. You're welcome, motherfuckers. I'll see you soon, I'm coming." Shakur Stevenson warns Ilia Topuria. After his latest title win, Shakur Stevenson said he's open to a crossover fight with Ilia Topuria. Stevenson, still undefeated, just scored what many are calling the biggest win of his career, completely dominating Teofimo Lopez to become a world champion in a 4th weight class. That victory has cemented his spot among boxing's pound-for-pound best. With all the attention on him, Stevenson was asked about a potential matchup with Ilia Topuria, the UFC champ who has hinted at moving into boxing. Shakur fired back by saying, "The skill level is different. Hell no. Tell Ilia Topuria to come and fight me. I don't care if he's a crazy boxer. Tell him to come and fight me." Jon Jones suffering from arthritis. Daniel Cormier has raised doubts about Jon Jones' future in the octagon after the former UFC champion revealed he's dealing with serious arthritis and other long-term injuries. Jones made headlines when a clip surfaced of him telling a fan at a recent Dirty Boxing event that he's facing severe arthritis and could need hip replacement surgery. While he later called the person who posted the video an asshole, he confirmed the injuries are real and that the UFC knows about them. He also said the conditions wouldn't necessarily stop him from fighting again if the circumstances were right. But longtime rival Daniel Cormier isn't so sure, suggesting that Jones probably knew he was being recorded.
I think that Jon Jones knew what he was doing. I think that he wanted people to know that he's injured. And I think that's exactly the way that he wanted it to happen, by giving it to an influencer. And that influencer then put it on the internet, and then he could feign ignorance and go, oh my God, I got caught. Not true. I've long said that I didn't think that Jon Jones was a great athlete. I've said that for a long time, and then it was almost furthered whenever we were in that event that we just did. But I think for the first time, I actually believe that he might have some true issues with his hips.
Jon Jones isn't the only fighter facing career-threatening injuries. Tom Aspinall is dealing with them too, and his situation might actually be even worse. Tom Aspinall not sure about his future. Tom Aspinall isn't thinking about belts or opponents right now. His main focus is his eyesight after a frightening incident at UFC 321. In October 2025, Aspinall stepped into the cage for his first fight as the officially recognized undisputed UFC heavyweight champion. But his plans met a huge blow when his opponent, Cyril Gane, accidentally poked Aspinall in both eyes not once but twice. Aspinall immediately struggled to see, and the referee had no choice but to stop the fight. Since that night, things have been rough for him. He recently had surgery on both eyes because of ongoing vision problems, but he's nowhere near fully recovered. In fact, even trying to train has become a serious challenge. Here is what Aspinall said: "Every time I try to change direction, it's very disorientating. The best way I can describe it is that it feels like I'm standing on a boat. I get really dizzy and it's very difficult to focus on the area I'm attacking. It's like I don't know where I'm going." Journalist Peter C. Carroll, who was actually there with Aspinall during his surgery, didn't sugarcoat anything afterward. He made it clear the situation was far more serious than most people realized.
There, and I've talked to everyone around him. I've talked to a doctor who has spoke about his visual defects. People saying this is a LASIK surgery. That does not happen for defects of the eye. It is to correct your vision. This is a very, very different thing. He is in a very, very serious situation, and he has been for 108 days, as the article explains. It's not even about...
With everything that's been coming out of Tom Aspinall's camp, it's hard to feel optimistic right now. The updates haven't been reassuring, and the whole situation feels heavier by the day. At this point, his future in the sport looks uncertain, and it honestly seems like only a miracle could completely turn things around for his career. While Aspinall has been sharing some worrying updates about his comeback, his training partner Modestas Bukauskas believes we'll see the most dangerous version of Aspinall once he's back. Modestas said, "When he comes back, expect to see the most dangerous Tom Aspinall you've ever seen. He's an incredible athlete, an incredible person, and this is only going to make him that much sharper and better. Heavyweight division, watch out." Sean Strickland thinks only he can beat Khamzat Chimaev. Sean Strickland is confident he's the guy who can take the UFC middleweight championship away from Khamzat Chimaev. Even though Strickland lost twice to Dricus du Plessis, the same man Chimaev later ran through, he doesn't think that tells the full story. In his mind, styles make fights, and he believes his pressure-heavy, jab-focused approach could create real problems for Chimaev inside the cage.
I think I'm probably the only one that could beat Chimaev. I honestly think Fluffy's a better wrestler than Chimaev. Like, I think pace-wise, style-wise, I think over 5 rounds, Fluffy's probably a better, but then stand-up, I think Chimaev might take him to a stand-up decision. So, I don't know, man. It's kind of weird what the UFC did with Chimaev. You brought a guy in that fights once a year who's like Madonna, who probably gets like, you know, I mean, how much money does that dictator give him on the table? Like, the guy doesn't need a fight, dude. He's best friends with a warlord, you know? Like, he doesn't need a fight. Dude gets gifted G-Wagons. So you have somebody who, like, he's just going to sit on that belt and wait until they force him to fight. And then, like, he wanted to fight Nasruddin or something, whatever the guy's name is. He's like, "Oh, I don't want to fight you, my brother." Like, what are you talking about? It's not how this sport works, dude. Don't be a... Go fight that guy.
Do you agree with Sean Strickland? Dricus du Plessis eyes rematch with Khamzat. Now Sean Strickland isn't the only one lining up for a shot at Khamzat Chimaev. Dricus du Plessis wants back in there, and this time, he's talking about revenge. Du Plessis feels their first fight didn't really play out the way he wanted. In his view, Chimaev's relentless wrestling completely dictated the pace and took away his ability to fight his kind of fight. He believes that constant grappling exchanges disrupted his rhythm and prevented him from showing what he can really do. That's why he's pushing for a rematch.
Yeah, of course. I mean, fighting Khamzat again is, of course, what I'm after. Expecting any surprises? No. There's not going to be any surprises. I mean, that is the way he's going to fight, and if he tries anything different, it will be a terrible night. We all know that, but he did what he had to win that belt. We can't hate on him for that. You know, he did what he needed to do. It's the rules of the game, and he did it. So saying that, you know, it's not fair, it is fair. He did what he had to do. Not how I would win my belt or would like to, but that's what he did. And now it's my responsibility to go and fix that. To stop.
Can Dricus du Plessis stop Chimaev from dominating him again? Alex Volkanovski explains what went wrong in first Islam Makhachev fight. Alexander Volkanovski recently looked back on his unforgettable first showdown with Islam Makhachev, a fight that still gets fans arguing to this day. At UFC 284, Volkanovski took a bold risk. He moved up to lightweight to challenge Makhachev for the belt. The clash was razor close and incredibly competitive. Many fans still believe Volkanovski did enough to win and should have had his hand raised at the end of the night. In a recent interview, Volkanovski reflected on that performance and the kind of statement he made by pushing Makhachev to his limits.
Well, we know how good Islam is till this day. Like, look what he's doing. And everyone knew that back then. It's just he hasn't faced the guys yet to even get that type of resume. Even though his resume was still good, it wasn't the resume what he's got now, but everyone knew he was that good. And me moving up against a guy that's got that style, everyone thought there's no way. So for me to go out there and do what I did, and, you know, a lot of people thinking I won, and just having that type of fight, me still being pound for pound number one, was still crazy. Like for us, and like, you know, we broke records here in Australia when you talk numbers and gates and pay-per-views here in Australia, everything like that. So it was a massive fight. It lived up to the hype, the storyline, everything around it was just incredible. And a very, very big part. Even though I lost, I still think it's probably the biggest moment of one of the biggest moments of my...
Arman Tsarukyan names only fighter who could out-wrestle him. Arman Tsarukyan has always spoken highly of Islam Makhachev, and for good reason. Back in 2019, Tsarukyan made his UFC debut against Makhachev at UFC St. Petersburg. It was a tough welcome to the promotion, and while Tsarukyan lost by unanimous decision, many people came away impressed by how competitive he was against one of the division's most dominant grapplers. Fast forward to last year, and the two were scheduled to run it back, this time for the lightweight title at UFC 311. But just days before the fight, Tsarukyan had to withdraw due to injury. Makhachev stayed on the card and defended his belt against Renato Moicano instead. After that win, Makhachev decided to vacate the lightweight title and move up to 170 pounds. Now that Makhachev is out of the division, Tsarukyan feels the landscape has changed. In his eyes, there isn't anyone left at lightweight who can match his wrestling.
Wrestle you in the UFC. Who can out wrestle you?
Right now I'm 155 nobody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I shouldn't worry.
It
was Islam, but he went out.
Yeah, he went up.
Yeah, and
but
he doesn't waste energy.
Doesn't waste energy because he's...
Yeah. He's so calm too.
You are too.
No.
You are too. You're calm. You're not a spaz. Arman striking is...
Gable Steveson UFC debut close. Gable Steveson, one of the sport's biggest prospects, could be heading to the UFC very soon. Even though he's new to MMA, many expect him to rise quickly in the heavyweight division. At 25, Steveson is already an Olympic gold medalist and a world-class athlete, and now he's fully committed to MMA. With John Jones helping him develop the skills to match his elite wrestling, the idea of seeing him in the octagon has fans buzzing. If he keeps delivering his dominant performances, he could officially have his UFC shot as soon as February 19. On that date, he'll take on 14-fight veteran Hugo Lezama at MFL 3 in Monterrey, Mexico, in just his third MMA fight. Steveson has already laid out his 2026 plan, and getting into the UFC is a goal he feels he can actually control. Fans are excited, And with the way he's performing, it won't be long before the world sees what he can do. He said, "It's just when I want the time to come. It's really up to them if they want to push the agenda, but I think with my skill set and what I can do, I think I can kind of put it in my hands, and when I'm ready to go and when I relay the message to them, I'll jump ship. Also, if I get a chance, I'll call for a spot on UFC White House. I think it's rightfully so, especially if it's a big knockout that happens next Thursday, you know. It'll be my 4th one. 3rd in MMA, 1 in dirty boxing, so that's how it'd be. But you know, just like we talked about, if the cards fall that way, they fall that way." So that's all for today's roundup of the biggest MMA stories. Let us know what you think about everything we covered down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, as we've got a lot more MMA and boxing content coming your way, and you won't want to miss it.